What's good? What's good? It's the one and only, but what do I know? Boxing coming back at y'all with another one, man. So we got my favorite fighter of all time, Andre Ward, speaking on Tank Davis. I want you guys to hear what he had to say, and then I'm gonna make a response to what he has to say about Tank as far as Tank Davis and his legacy. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Stay tuned for my response.
I don't remember the last time that I've heard Gervonta Davis say, I'm in boxing to be the greatest fighter of all time. I've heard him say that he's better than certain guys in his weight class, or this kid can't beat me. I've heard that. I can't remember, and maybe y'all can keep me honest online. The last time I've heard Gervonta Davis talk about his legacy in the ring. Like I'm building my legacy. I'm trying to outdo Floyd in legacy. Like, I think it started like that for him. But the influence of Floyd Mayweather, Money Man, not Pretty Boy, but the Money Man, and building your brand and selling tickets and selling pay-per-views and becoming a household name, that's also a legacy. You got the legacy in the ring and you got the legacy in terms of how you sold. I believe Gervonta Davis is more focused on selling tickets and making money and securing his future for himself and his family. He said it out of his own mouth. I ain't got nothing else to prove. If you're trying to be one of the greatest fighters of all time, it's still a whole lot to prove. My point is, Roy, I don't think, should everybody hold this man to the standard that they hold him to and say, you not fighting nobody, yeah, you making money, but you ain't really fought nobody. If he don't even care about that, that's not even something that he's really focused on. If his main focus is the money, and his main focus is getting out of boxing without getting hurt and retiring on his own terms, shouldn't his fan base and other people get on board with that if that's not even his goal? How can we hold him to something like that if he don't even hold himself to that?
Well, my response is okay. I get what Dre is saying, and actually, if you go back and look at my videos that I've been doing of Gervonta Davis, that's exactly what I was saying. Like, you've never heard Tank talk about wanting to unify divisions or anything like that. And he's right. We've never heard Tank actually say, like, hey, I'm here to be the best or whatnot. And that's true. While that may be true, though, here's the thing about it, Dre. Like, as a champion, if you're gonna have that type of mentality, right? If the Tank Davis, the mentality that he has, if he's not trying to be the best or whatnot, then you have to relinquish that title, bro. You have to relinquish that title, because if not, I'm gonna continue to hold you to the standards of a champion. And what I mean by that is, I expect champions to fight the best in their weight class. I expect champions to fight other champions to see who is the best. Otherwise, if you don't care, then let go of that belt. Because Tank is at a point in his career, right? I don't necessarily I don't see how I can say this. You know, at one particular point, Floyd Mayweather was bigger than the belt. At one particular point, Canelo Alvarez was big. His name was bigger than the belts itself, right? I don't necessarily know if Tank Davis' name is bigger than the belts itself at 130. Not in boxing. Like, in boxing, and let me break that down when I say that, right? I meant 135, but let me break that down when I say that, right? Floyd Mayweather fought at 147, right? If Floyd Mayweather moved up to 154, people would actually want to fight Floyd Mayweather rather than fighting for their own titles or fighting for another titles. And same with Canelo Alvarez. If he moved up to 175, Arthur better be. Let's just say if Bivol had one of the belts and Arthur Better Beef had one belt, instead of unify, Arthur Better Beef would probably fight fight Canelo first. You know, like, I can see that happening. Well, with Tank, I don't see that happening outside of 135. I don't see anybody just rushing, like, willing to put their career on hold or their dreams on hold to fight Tank Davis outside of 135. Now, 135, I could see that, but anyways, I don't. Tank has to let go of the titles if he wants to. If he doesn't want that type of pressure, he has to let go of his title. Again, I don't think that it's fair that, how is it fair for somebody who wants to unify and prove that they are the best, in that weight class, and then you have somebody that's sitting there pretty much just babysitting the title and not wanting to prove that he is the best. He has to let go of those titles or that title because he's never been a unified champion. So he has to let go of that title, and in order for him to be taken serious or to what you're saying, in order for him to have that pass, in my opinion, because I said the same thing with Canelo Alvarez when he had the titles with David Benavidez. If Canelo Alvarez didn't have those titles, I would have never been pressuring him to fight David Benavidez. But because he wants to tote himself as being the best at 168, or let alone the best in boxing, I've always said, well, bro, you have to go see David Benavidez because you're toting around these titles. And at the time David Benavidez was fighting at 168, you got to go see him. Otherwise, bro, it's no point of me even sitting there. If you let go of the titles, I wouldn't even be upset at you not fighting Benavidez, because at that point, you're doing your own thing at that point. But I just have a thing. Once you have a title, you have to fight the other best fighters. And as long as Tank has that title, I'm gonna hold him to, or as long as he has a title, I'm gonna hold him to that. Now, what would Tank be without the title? I don't know. I mean, he doesn't need a title for this Jake Paul fight, and I'm pretty sure that fight is gonna be huge. You know what I'm saying? He can go along and he can do fights like that and still make a living or whatever. These exhibition or these misfits fights, get him in what's that dude named Dean the Great? Let them fight or whatnot. He could still make a big bag off of that. Yeah. If he wants to just, not be, because, if he wants to still make money, he could do that. But, bro, if you're in the sport, and then this is my thing, bro. If anything, if one thing that Floyd taught you, bro, talking about Tank Davis is, bro, dog, if you're not doing it for the legacy, if you're just doing it for the finances, at least get the biggest guy with the biggest name. Don't go, you can't tell, think about it, bro. At one particular time, Josh Taylor was calling him out, right? Josh Taylor has a good following in the UK, bro. Bro, if you're just doing it for the legacy, at least Floyd fought guys when he was Money Mayweather, he fought Marquez, and Marquez. Granted, Marquez was also pound for pound number 2 when Floyd fought him, but bro, Marquez had a really good Mexican following. Ricky Hatton had a really good fan base out in the UK. If you're gonna do that, at least fight big names with big followings, bro. What's his name? Vasily Lomachenko had a really good following, bro. Who else? You can't tell me guys what's the dude's Isaac Cruz did not have a big following before Tank fought him. And if you need proof of that, bro, I can tell you. I know this doesn't mean anything, but it does say a lot about how big you are, bro. Isaac Cruz only had 60,000 followers on Instagram. Nobody knew who he was before he fought Tank. And then, bro, or if you're gonna do something like that, do something lucrative at least in around your region, bro. Gary Russell, if Tank Davis, if you want to talk about just business, right? Tank Davis and Gary Russell would actually do really good numbers as far as ticket sales and stuff like that in the DMV area, because that's where they're from. If you're gonna do stuff like that, do it like that, bro. You know what I'm saying? Nobody knew who Lamont Peterson was. Not Lamont Peterson. See, but I am a big fan of Lamont Peterson. But Lamont Roach was. Nobody cared for that, bro. You got foreigners in or around your division. Williams Zepeda would have been a really good fight for him, bro. That would have been a pay-per-view fight, in my opinion, bro. Because Williams Zepeda has a good Mexican following, bro. That's just how you market it. That way you can at least have good names while you finance yourself. You make a good financial benefits off of it. Don't do nothing like how fighting Lamont Roach or fighting guys like Isaac Cruz with no followings and all this type of stuff. Bro, get the big names out there at least. That's all I'm saying, bro. But it is what it is. Tank is gonna do what Tank wants to do. He's fighting Jake Paul. Or freaking retire, bro. Just retire and then do the exhibitions. Because once you retire, nobody can tell you anything at that point. You are no longer a part of the sport of boxing as far as sanctioning fights goes. So just retire. You get what I'm saying? And then at that point, nobody can really tell you anything at that point. So, you know, it is what it is. I just think that that's just my opinion on it. I think Tank is a hell of a fighter. Tank, I love the way Tank fights, bro. I think Tank is really good. He can do it all. He can bang with you. He can be slick. He's a really good boxer, and that's why I've always put the pressure on Tank to fight these guys like Shakur, like Devin Haney, because I've always felt like he could beat all of these guys. I just, you know, it just seemed like I had more faith in Tank than he does in himself. And for what reason is he not interested in fighting these guys? I mean, bro, if you feel like you can beat them, why not fight them, bro? Because I really think at one point Tank would have beaten Shakur Stevenson. I don't know about now, but I still think he would beat Devin Haney. But obviously it's not about what I think, it's about what he thinks. If he thought that he could beat them easily, then he would have done it. I mean, he would have been the A side to all those guys, so they would have had to, you know, he could have made that fight, but whatever, that's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. But what do I know?